Caterpillar 988K is the smallest of Caterpillar's large series wheel loaders, and it has an operating weight of around 50 tonnes. It comes in a familiar looking style of Caterpillar branded box, but this one is a bit different because it's the first model produced by Tonkin replicas under their Caterpillar licence. A new maker for this type of model is a good thing because it does mean there might be some different thinking. And the first sign of that on this model is that it does include a small collector's card which includes information about the real machine, together with a nice photo, and that's a welcome touch. Let's move on and pull out the insides of the box to see what the rest of the packaging is like. And at first glance it's fairly similar to other Caterpillar models. But there is one difference, which is that this model is not held in place by those fiddly ties. In fact, it's just held in place by the plastic formers. This pops apart fairly easily, and that lets you get the model out in a frustration-free way. So, feeling nice and calm and not stressed, we can get the model out, and it's no assembly to do because the model is complete out of the box. As usual for the detail, we'll look underneath first, and the detail level is reasonable. There's a drive shaft visible to the front axle, and the tyres have a good tread pattern. In fact, the tyres are one of the nicer parts of the model. They're mounted on plastic wheels which have detailed outside faces but simple inside faces. The detailing of the engine area is very good, with black painted grills and nice lights at the back, and it's good to see things like the video camera at the top, the small graphics, and the object detector at the bottom. The walkways around the cab have a nice surface texture, and inside the controls are modelled well, and there's a cat logo on the back of the seat. Looking around the model, there is an amount of plastic used that includes the mirrors on the cab and the light bar on the roof. And also the ladder up to the cab is soft plastic, but the good thing is that the colour match of the plastic parts is excellent. One nice aspect of the model is that the handrails are all metal. They're thin and they look good, and they seem quite strong too. But with that comes the possibility that the handrails aren't quite straight and they might be a little bit bent out of line, as you can see here. So if that troubles you, you'd have to be really careful to bend them back into line. Detail across the pivot point is good with hydraulic hoses, although the front drive shaft isn't modelled in this view. At the loader end of things, the Z-bar linkage is modelled well, and there are hydraulic hoses to the ram. Looking under the loader arm, the front axle seems a little bit odd, and that's because the top of the differential casing is missing, so you can see through to the axle. But at least it's not something you would see with the loader arm set down. The metal bucket is a very nice casting with plenty of details, and that includes underneath where the wear plates can be seen. Caterpillar 988 celebrated its 50th anniversary in 2013, and it was celebrated with the launch of the 7th generation 988K, which first appeared at the Balmer exhibition. It's a large wheel loader often used in mining and quarrying operations, and it's also the first of many Caterpillar models to be modelled by Tonkin replicas. Into the CranesEtcTV test quarry, and the 988K certainly drives along very smoothly indeed. The axles are perfectly free rolling, and if we pick the model up we see that the rear axle has lots of oscillation. If anything, it's perhaps a little bit too loose. Although not quite so good from an engineering point of view is the front axle, which has a degree of oscillation too, and it should be fixed. The result of all that is that when the model stands on a flat surface it can rock from side to side. A feature that does work very well is the steering across the pivot point. It's precise, and the hydraulic ramps are stiff enough to hold any pose you want to set. The range of movement also seems faithful to the real machine. When set it looks good, and it also performs well when turning. Moving to the digging end of things, the first comment is that the bucket carry angle when the bucket is lowered seems to be a bit shallow. But in all other respects the range of movement seems to be very good. The bucket certainly raises up to a good height, and the tipping angle is quite good too. Tonkin have also done a good job with the engineering of the hydraulics because they're stiff enough to hold any pose that you want to set. So overall the functionality of the loader mechanism really is quite good. But on CranesEtcTV we always like to carry out a genuine imitation real life test. So while we wait for Tonkin to produce a suitable truck model, we'll just carry out a tipping test. And here we have a load of specially blasted CranesEtcTV limestone. The tipping action works well, and now we have a blasted load of limestone creating a mess all over the place. But look, at least the bucket is clean and empty. We can also give the floating rear axle a spin over the mess we've created, and it works well enough. Overall, this is a very creditable first Caterpillar model from Tonkin replicas. The detailing is generally very good, and the paint finish is certainly nice too. Most of the functionality is fine, and the model certainly looks good on the display shelf. If you like wheel loaders, it's highly recommended.